Hello everyone, welcome to Tabard. Thanks for coming. Today's kind of a rehearsal for Lizzie and I. We've got a few talks coming up. We want to test some material on a live audience, put ourselves under a bit of pressure in the spotlight to talk you through kind of the Hoxby origin story, kind of why we started it, how it came to be, and also for you as a discerning audience, we're going to talk a bit about Hoxby and where it's going and the direction that we think is kind of most exciting for what we've built. For our own personal reasons, we wanted to work differently. I think the kind of the conversation, albeit hazy, kind of centred around the fact that there's something wrong with the model of work that we're all kind of conditioned to. It doesn't help us do our best work, it doesn't help us be happy, and it actually excludes quite a lot of people from being able to do meaningful work and work that they're perfectly talented at doing. Rather than working in a predefined manner, we should be free to choose our own working manner. And that if everyone's got a lifestyle, why shouldn't they have a work style too?
And we wanted to create something that was a neutral word as well, because things like part-timers, shirking from home, there are lots of negative connotations with working flexibly, and they're subtle and they're funny, but actually they do make a difference. So we wanted to conceive of something that was a neutral word that people could say to other people, what's your work style? And mean it in all kind of genuine intent. I've noticed a few other people using the word work style.
In the right way as well.
Yeah, outside of Hoxby.
Yeah,
so I just want to lay claim to it now that we came up with it.
We originated the word. The realisation that actually what we needed to do was build a group of people who all shared the same outlook on this way of work is what was required for everyone to benefit from it. One of our mantras is about respecting the work style. It's about everybody showing each other the same respect of individuality and individual choice over work style that really makes the difference. So that's where the community model was born, and where the principle of everybody pulling together to achieve something more than the sum of its parts is really kind of what spawned the Hoxby Collective as an entity and still underpins our growth and our success. With her, like the premise of this is it's different. We're creating an environment whereby mums and dads and people in general can lead a different life, and so I choose to spend an extra day a week with Olivia, just the two of us. She's nearly 2 years old, and I hope that in the long term that will benefit her in some way more than if I hadn't. I don't know whether it will or not, but I enjoy it if she doesn't. We forget that the rest of the world is still in the proper job mentality. There are only 416 Hoxbys as at today's account, and that is not enough to make a dent in the world. Everybody else is still thinking about proper jobs and telling us we should get a proper job, because that's what they're conditioned to. The 8-hour working day, Sir Bobby Owen, in 201 years ago, coined the phrase 8 hours labour, 8 hours recreation, 8 hours rest.
What a ledge.
What a ledge.
He was at the time a total ledge though. That was when people were working 13, 14, 15-hour days in the mills.
And in the offices.
Yeah, and for them to be able to work just an 8-hour day was unbelievable. But I think he'd be pretty upset if he knew that 201 years later everyone was still working this way, because, to be honest, give or take 20 years, that's about 100 years too long. And things have changed. We should change. But it just goes to show how societal and behavioural norms, once they're ingrained, it's very hard to change them.
Yeah, it's hard for people to step out of the paradigm, never mind companies, because the paradigm serves the companies pretty well. In fact, it's been the kind of foundation for which they will have structured and all the kind of employment contracts that they've got. So actually changing that is no small task. And also, you know, a lot of companies are wondering what the incentive might be to do that.
What we wanted to do was essentially create a community to inspire change. So we wanted to be a prototype whereby we could illustrate that people could be happier, produce brilliant work, and that we could make a profit. Because we felt if we could have those three things lining up, the triple bottom line if you will, then we could go to other organisations and say, look, this is where it works, we're making it work, you can make it work. As a consequence of those 4 areas, tech, globalisation societal values and expectations of work and demographic changes, that we felt that the time was right for Hoxby. And sometimes I do look back and I think, why didn't we start Hoxby 5 or 6 years ago? And I think the reality was the tech just didn't exist. Realistically, the fact that we can all live on Slack and that we don't have an office but we have Slack as our office, the fact that we can collaborate online through Google Suite, use Workable for our application process and for some of our team curation, there are a myriad of different systems that through tech now make this possible, and not least the prevalence of Wi-Fi. We recognise that we are at an extreme end of the spectrum, but we can't create a happier, more fulfilled society at a total level without bringing organisations down that spectrum towards us. And lots of them won't come all the way. We know that we're extreme, but even if we can coax them just a little bit of the way down, then that will make a massive difference, because more people will have access to work on their terms and to fit their work around their lives rather than the other way around, which is what we're all about. So the whole of the Hoxby model is built on trust. And I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and the guy sitting next to me, who frankly was more interested in Hoxby than he was in the conference, but who wouldn't be, he kept on coming back to this point: how can you trust people who you've never met? And I thought it was fascinating, because why shouldn't you trust people who you've never met? You know, do you believe in human nature fundamentally? And it kind of made me realise that the reason that companies want that control of where and when you work is because they fundamentally do not have that trust that if you're doing it on your own terms, you will deliver great outputs. So partly I think that Hoxby is around just trust, but it's also around judging on outputs. And if you trust people and you believe they'll judge on you can judge them on their outputs, then you also have this fantastic situation where you're fundamentally redefining work in order to eliminate bias, which, as you hopefully all know, is also what we seek to do. And I think that not needing to physically see people means that it's not just about not needing to be physically somewhere, it also gets rid of that subconscious bias. So you don't know a lot about those individuals. You only know what they choose to tell you, and what they choose to tell you, they choose to let you judge them on. But fundamentally for us, we don't know a lot about a lot of Hoxbys, and that's how we want to keep it, because in doing so, we don't judge them.
It's nothing short of a very big, hairy, audacious goal to try and change the world of work in its very fabric. But I think we're seeing signs with the gig economy and with the sort of movement towards freelance that actually there's going to be more communities like ours. People are going to join communities, and what we're saying to organisations is, why not think about yourself as a community? Why not think about broadening your talent pool to include this growing opportunity and use that as a way to also create this level playing field of work. It's better for them, better for people who can deliver better work, and it's better for business too. They get access to incredible talent that's motivated and selected on the basis of being able to deliver what needs to be done in the best possible way. Really what we're trying to do is something seismic, something that perhaps doesn't have an end. It's something that we will dedicate our lives to, I think, as the founders of Hoxby, which is to enable as many people as possible to have a work